Well, good morning, guys. Balance sheet basics. This is kind of a template that we use here. I believe it to be a very standard, basic starting point for a balance sheet. If you filled out these columns and took it into your bank without saying a whole lot, he would be able to understand it and read it and be, okay, I kind of see where you're at. They might change things around, move things around a little bit, but for the most part, this is a basic template of the balance sheets. Your left side is usually your assets, current, intermediate, and long term, and then your right side is your liabilities. Money you have and who owes you, and liabilities are who do you owe. So your normal ones is less than a year, intermediate is 1 to 10, long term would be 10 years. Before we go too far, if your banker helps you fill this out and you put intermediate your cattle and crop loans and your mortgage, but then up here he'll take these things and put them up here as well. Don't be surprised, because if your mortgage is $200,000, whatever that is, but you got a $20,000 annual payment, well, that $20,000 of that mortgage is due in a short-term liabilities fashion. Same with these cattle loans. You know, if you owe $5,000 a year on your cows and $50,000 a year on all your equipment, they're going to move these numbers up here as well for that 12-month snapshot of what these loans are. But they're not doubling down. You know, they're not going to have your annual payment with the total balance. You know, they're not going to double that up. So that they'll do the math. So down here, when all liabilities are added, but if your banker does that, just that's what they're doing. But hey, current assets. Let's start with current assets. Cash on hand between your checking and savings account, your sock drawer, under the kids' bed, coffee cans in the yard, wherever you have cash on hand. Life insurance policies, retirement policies, they all have a liquidable cash value. It may not be much, but they have something. That's all for cash on hand. Accounts are basically I look at assets as, if I had to flee the country tomorrow, what could I sell all my assets for and skip town? That's basically all you're doing, is how much cash could you come up with. So on your equipment side, you don't go off of dealers' asking price. You look at auction results, or you look at dealer pricing, and then you take 20% off or something, you know. But yeah, so you don't want to overinflate yourself, because if you overinflate yourself, you might end up borrowing against that inflation, and then you can get yourself in trouble. But supplies on hand, you know, things that are carried over from last year. Fuel, chemical, a little bit of fertilizer, things like that, some parts, anything like that. Prepaid expenses. I don't count my PHI as a prepaid, because that's on a credit card through PHI Financial, through Pioneer Financial. That's on a charge with them, so I worry about that in its current year. But if I wrote a check out to Pioneer this fall for next year's seed, you bet I'd put that down as prepaid expenses, because that's money you laid out that they're going to wonder, well, where'd all this money go? It's great to list that. Growing crops, crop inventory, or cattle or livestock that's marketable. Livestock that's ready to go to market within the year. Growing crops or crop inventory that's ready to go to market in the year. Any contracts that are with that, present them to the bank as well, or staple them to your balance sheet, because that's information people need to know. Because if they go off of your balance sheet and start working a projection with you, they're going to say, well, River Open price is $320, and you're going to say, hold on now, I've got a contract for all this stuff at $370, and that makes a difference on your cash flow for your projection. I don't know, you know, maybe some farms 5 or 10% swing on income might not matter, but I bet on a lot of farms, the bank using 320 versus you using 370 on your cash flow, is a big difference on how your bills get paid or not. So you got that, and then accounts receivable. Who owes you money? Did you bail for the neighbor and you're just waiting on the check, or you sold a bunch of hay, whatever? Accounts receivable there, and whatever fits you. Every farm's different. These are just kind of the common ones, you know. Your intermediate would be your breeding livestock, your mama cows or goats or sheep, whatever you got going on, and then your equipment. In this intermediate, if you're doing a grain bin expansion, that's usually less than 10 years. That would go in here. Some smaller buildings could go in here, but normally your long term would be your major buildings and land purchases and items. Then on your liability side, things that are due in the 12-month period, kind of operating the farm. You know, your seed and crop loans, utilities and feed bills and things like that. Just your day-to-day operating that you owe money to people. It might be, you might only, you know, if this is a January 1st snapshot, your feed bill, depending on how your banker wants that done, you might just put your annual feed bill down, your annual utilities. Some of that just depends on how your banker wants it set up and how you're doing your projection. But for the most part, you're looking for the year ahead, and so this is kind of where you're at today, as of today, not the year leading up to today, not today leading forward. It's not a projection. It's not a summary or an analysis. It is just a snapshot of today. Where are you sitting? So whether they turn these into monthly or annuals, that's up to you and them. Chances are they'll do the annuals. Your intermediate, again, your cattle and equipment, that grain bin and the mortgage, your long term. And we already said that don't be surprised that part of that the annual liability of these long-term assets or long-term liabilities will be up in this segment as well. So it's pretty simple. Pretty simple. You fill out them columns for yourself, and you'll have a pretty okay snapshot of your balance sheet, and you'll start to see that, oh, well, my equipment's all paid for. Hey, awesome. That's a lot of asset. Or if you're like us, that I'm addicted to equipment, and I'm trying to grow the farm, and I'm trying to improve the farm, then this might not be so pretty. If you know, we used a lot of our cash on hand to upgrade equipment, so the only asset we have on all that new purchase equipment is the down payment for it. And so we took, if you add all these numbers up, you get a total. You add all these numbers up, you get a total. We narrowed the gap here. You know, if this used to be up here and this is down here, well, now this is here and this is here. We really narrowed that margin some this year with all the upgrades. But at the same time, the bank can see that, oh, okay, here's where we were, you know, from year to year to year through our taxes. They can see where we are, and with just a sit-down conversation, they can get, oh, okay, well, we see why you've done this and blah, 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 blah. And we can see where you're going because they have a 5-year plan from the farm as well as to what our 5-year goal is. And so then they can see like, yep, okay, well, that balance sheet kind of corresponds with a farm that's growing and improving and upgrading, you know, okay. So, yeah, that it is what it is. Do you use a balance sheet? Do you not? You know, are you all cash, whatever? Nobody bothers you for any of this stuff. So, guys, on that note, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.